Hi Aries, welcome to the space. How are you? All right, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. So I saw something in the beginning. It reminded me of like 2017, something like that. Chester, it's okay. I also was reminded, I can't remember if it was your reading, an Aries reading, or a Virgo reading, but it talked about baptism. Do you remember that? Like baptizing a child or baptizing yourself? Something like this. That's relevant now, or is coming up in some kind of way. Something to think about. Excuse me. I also feel like if you have children, this is also for your inner child. I feel like you want to put some boundaries on like what they can watch or how much time. Like I literally saw someone, like a parent, putting like a timer or like a block on, you know, like not viewing certain information because it's well, I heard someone has to take the adult role here. In relation to this 2017 also, it reminded me of this reading that I did then in the spring 2017, and again, I can't remember what this also combines Virgo and Aries again. And there's something about this where it talked about like you having this really beautiful relationship, and really mirroring your, like another person being mirrored inside of you and you to them, and but it was a positive reflection, you know what I mean? Something healthy, something that's empowering to you. And so I think because of this time, right, this is 2021, so what's that? 4 years. So a lot has been created between now and then, right? A lot has been healed from now to then. You have all these children. Interesting. Okay, so it's really young energy around you. Very child energy is helpful, right? It's but with all children, you have to make boundaries, and I see this. And this has to do, again, with your own children. This could be you to your mother or father. I also see boundaries with work, and also particularly boundaries with what is being tapped into, right? Because sometimes once we see something, it's very hard to unsee it, right? And so you want to so say you do see something, or you've seen something, right? You've experienced something that you didn't like. How do you forget? Now, I guess to forget, you must forgive, right? To get and get, to get and to give, to give and receive. But even when we forgive, sometimes we don't forget. Interesting energy, Aries. There's a little scorpionic here, a little cryptic. Okay, so What do we got going on here, Aries? Let me tune in a second. Crow's been strong for you. It's the cock first, now it's the crow. Okay. Aries. Oh, okay, I see. This is the same thing as last month. Your energy is slower in this time because, well, most of the world thinks that Mars is in Taurus, or at least people have been saying this over and over and over. To whether it's true or not, I don't know. I guess we would only know by looking at the stars, but literally. But the point is that your energy is being expressed in a fixed earth energy, so you are not meant to move forward with anything until probably, well, technically March. But moving forward in a mutable time, especially Pisces time, is not very comfortable. So this would probably be more moving forward, like things start moving more forward. It's going to be at least 2 months, something about that, right? And then there's also something about the solstice in the summer, the solstice in June, right? This is like, for a lot of people, this is the peak of summer, right? This is when there's a lot of growth. I do feel like I keep going back into this child energy. If your child is misbehaving, right? If you were like, oh my God, what is wrong with my child? Something like that. Now, again, this could be what is wrong with that child. You know, like talking about another human being, an adult, talking about your inner self that doesn't behave, you know, whatever. I feel like some extra exercise. Yep. Emperor and the Six of Pentacles. Some extra exercise would also be good. I also feel like, again, there's an emphasis here on some boundaries. King of Cups, King of Wands. Yes, there needs to be some... Well, I heard somebody has to stand up and be responsible. And make a rule, but not because... How do I see this? Okay, so when I don't want Zumi to do something, right, or she's about to do something that would scare me, like, say we're walking and we get close to a road and I don't want her on the side of the road, I want her on the inside. So if a car comes, obviously I would protect her because that is my job, right, to protect this animal. I took up this responsibility. Of course, she can protect herself to a certain extent, but if we're talking about children, right, the adult needs to take the role here. So instead of saying, like, don't go in the road, or, you know, like, don't do this, or why are you doing that? It's try to be conscious. And this is probably why you need to slow down a little bit, because remember, you're trying to learn how to fly, right? So somebody's trying to learn how to fly. They're like gaining their feathers, and you have to practice here. So the point is that you want to take a second, or maybe even 5 seconds, before you say something, because and when you do say something, especially if someone is doing something that you do not want them to do, what you do is you give a request, which is generally a question, right? Like, for instance, let's use Zumi again as an example. If we're walking and we hit a road, we get close to a road, she's on the outside of me, closer to the road, instead of being like, get out of the road, you know, like, out of fear, I'll be like, hey Zumi, can you come over here? Like, come over on this side. Can you come over on this side? And then she'll be like, oh yeah, you know, and then she'll go over on that side because there's nothing to worry about, you know? It's almost like, when a child falls and like skins their knee, right? Or like trips over themselves, because children are clumsy, and so are adults. But someone trips over themselves, and if a parent goes up and is like, "Oh my God, what's wrong?" Like the child's gonna be like, "Ah!" Like, and make this reaction because they're mimicking what they see, right? Instead of, if a child falls and skins their knee, and then you be like, "You okay?" And then you give them a second, and then they'll probably look at their wound or whatever place that kind of hurts, even though it's generally, most things aren't actually physically happening that's an issue. It's just something scared them, right? It was something accidental that actually isn't a big deal. And your reaction will matter. And actually, maybe this is something you want to look up, Aries, because when children are young, and includes you when you were a child, how your parents reacted when you were hurt is going to express how you emotionally respond when you are hurt, to mimic that interaction, right? So, something to think about. Fascinating. This also relates, this goes into your lovers, everything, right? Trippy. Okay, so I do feel like there needs to be a choice that is made. Right, for instance, children don't lie, right? They're very honest. Unless they're high, like heavily sociopathic or psychopathic, most children will not lie. It's very rare, actually, that they do. Probably until about the age of 7. They usually don't lie unless they feel afraid that they're going to be punished for something. Right? Like, "Oh, what's that in your hand?" You know, hiding something behind their back. Nothing. Nothing. When it's obviously obvious, right? But this is also a testing thing, because I guess there's something about honesty here that's also very important. And this connects to communication. So, I do feel as if there is some sort of serious work that needs to be attended to. If you have Saturn in a fire sign, Saturn in Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, I see Scorpio, Pisces, there's something extra about this here. Maybe that's a little harder to figure out what to do, like what choice to make, because you do kind of have this choice in the future. And I see that right now you're kind of looking at like, okay, well, I could go this way and I could go that way. And on either side of this choice are these two circles. This is Judgment, this is the Sun. 2019, right? They're very close to one another. What are these? King of Swords, King of Wands, Prince of Swords. Prince of Swords has showed up a lot, so is the King of Wands. Interesting. So, again, Aries, maybe some of you have a bad habit, too, that you picked up when you were younger, like a teenager, or like in your 20s, something like that. I also feel like you should look at the age 15. There's something about this. So I heard you need to treat yourself better. You need to treat yourself better, Aries. I also feel like whoever scolded you, I know this is trippy, we're going in this child energy, but I guess this is something that needs to be healed. There's something like, who scolded you when you were young too? Like, who punished you? Right? How did they punish you? Right? When you did something wrong. When you, again, how were you talked to, right? Were you... and I see that if you have children of your own now, please do not... You got to know what this is so that you don't repeat it with your family. Right? Interesting. I also feel like if you have teenagers, they could be careful who they're hanging out with. Right? Like, some of you could have children who have drug, like, addiction problems, too. And I guess if that's the case, if you're dealing with someone that's dealing with addiction, I see that they'll find their way through it, mostly through faith. And I guess I see that if you're curious or scared whether they'll find God or not, or like find this place of peace in themselves, I feel like they will. But that can only come through time. And it's better not to force it too. Like, let them find their own way. Yeah, Six of Wands. Like, let them find their own way. Right? No need to force anything. Like someone who's dealing with some... Interesting. What's going on here, Aries? You got a trippy reading. I haven't used these cards in a while. Let's see. You have a lot of majors here. 4 majors, which is the Emperor. So, you know, there's the high road and the low road, Aries. I see that it's no matter what road... Well, how do I see this? How do I want to say this, rather? Let's take a minute, right, to contemplate what we're trying to actually... What are we trying to achieve? Just a minute, please. I'm going to clear out the old before we have this, whatever we're talking about, so that it doesn't interfere the past with this present moment. Let's see, Aries. What's going on? I heard the Emperor has no clothes. That story. The Emperor has no clothes. Something about August. I also feel like you've come to some place, right? Where you're combining all the parts, right? Or you have all the pieces now and you're trying to put them together, but I don't think you can see something. Or rather, some people can't see certain things, okay? And what's this about? Usually I enjoy the sounds of nature right now, but the sounds around me, but right now it's kind of like they're making me anxious, the sounds around me. So where do you find your quiet place, Aries? Magician and the Empress. Where do you find this quiet place? And I do feel like you need to look at, because I heard how we deal with our pain is the kind of life you're going to create for yourself, right? Hold on a second. Squirrely. I like this. They show the rebirth card as Aries card. Beautiful, right? You want to meditate on that for a second? I know, moving from point A to point B, right? It's not always fluid all the time. It's not always, like, easy peasy. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's rough. Sometimes you get scars, right? Sometimes, we don't know things until we get there. And maybe this is why your readings your reading this month and last month have been a bit cryptic, because, well, I guess this is going to show you that in the future you'll understand this better, but you may not understand it fully now. And that's okay. Do you know what I mean? I also feel like, when did you get sick when you were a kid? Like, what was your, right, because I feel like all kids have, like, particular illnesses. It's like, you know, some people is like, ears, nose, throat, right? That's all sort of ruled by Taurus. Or, like, your belly always hurts, so it was something with cancer in your chart. Or, like, you broke bones. It was like something with Saturn or Capricorn. It's like, what was your, and I feel like most of the time there's something repetitive about it, right? Because we're trying to fix something by, well, I guess that's what pain is for, is to fix something. So, Aries, and I guess whenever we're in pain for some reason, right? When there's some sort of uneasiness, or again, pain associated with something, it means that that person actually needs love, attention, something. And sometimes people will even purposely hurt themselves to get attention, right? Like a cutter. Or I knew a few people in my past that would purposely, like, put themselves in circumstances where they would get hurt so they could go get, like, drugs. You know what I mean? Like you could get a painkiller or something like that. Like everybody's going to do, I guess in a way, sometimes I guess maybe even all people sort of do this in their own way, but there's different variances of it. And so I see that it's important that whenever something is in pain, it needs attention. That's why it's there. Now, if this is happening internally, you're going to have to give this to yourself. If you try to get it from other people, I mean, if you were a child, then you were saying, Mom, Dad, I need external world. Please pay attention. There's something, right? So I guess there's something lingering here from the past in relation to now, and so you just need to think about it. It's not to say that it's absolutely affecting what you're creating in this life ultimately, or your own adulthood and responsibility and maturity, but there's something about it now that you are mature, then maybe you can think about it in a different way. Maybe you can put some pieces together that you didn't put together before, and this will help you very much in learning something more about who it is that you are, so that you feel more certain about what you have, what you can do with it, and trusting other people more in creating like an even, or right, your opposite is Libra, a balanced exchange. I do see, please be aware of your language. This isn't like a warning or anything. It's just like, are you saying what you don't want? Or are you asking what you do want? It's that simple. Just practice. If I could give you any advice, this seems to be the foundation of it. So be aware in this time frame. Be conscious of this. Make yourself a little note. Put it on a sticky. Put it on wherever you are most of the time. Right? And remind yourself. Maybe you make this a mantra this month. Something where you're like, hi, Cardinal. Hi, Grandpa. You know, is this positive? Is this negative? Are you asking for what you want? Or are you saying what you don't want? And Virgo had something about this too. I connect to you and them a lot. Well, I guess the foundation of that is analyzing who it is that you are. Beautiful. And learning some sort of surrender. Huh. Trippy. I do think that because Pisces comes from behind you, there could be you want to check in if you have any belief systems where you're saying to yourself that you don't believe that you're good enough to do something. Okay? Where you're still hurt by something that... And I actually see that this could have to do with some sort of illness when you were like 7, like a kid, 3 years old, 7 years old. Like, what was your first illness? Right? Your first dis-ease as a child, physically speaking. If you don't know, ask your mama. I'm pretty sure most of you probably know, right? But there's something about that. This will help open up something so that it releases whatever this pain is. And it really does go through, again, all the parts of it. Trippy, Aries. Because I heard whatever's happening now that's causing some... And a lot of people have gotten this month, which is interesting. I feel like Aquarius time is actually a lot more emotionally funky and kind of like concerned about their own... I don't know, like reality versus Capricorn. Like Aquarius is almost like harder than Capricorn. But anyway, if you're questioning, you know, I guess collectively, just to mention, people are also questioning what's real, or like what's worth it. And I see that it's very good to choose from a place that is logical, because again, our choices can very well relate to something long, long ago, you know? It could be 10 years ago, something that lingers. It could be 3 years ago. It could be 20 years ago. You know, like things linger, and the world is very emotional. You know, people are very emotional, and we make up a big part of the world. So ensure that you're making choices that where you weigh the pros and cons before you do it. You weigh out what you're going to say before you say it, before you do it, right? Because this, again, is going to ensure that you are choosing something of the highest caliber, not only in ways of responsibility for yourself, but also spiritually speaking, right? Because whatever's happening now, I said it before, but like, ain't nothing new. You know what I mean? Whatever's going on in the world, whatever's going on with you, whatever's going on with your family, like, ain't none of this new. Most people are experiencing the same exact things. And have and will in our own ways, so that I guess in some ways, well, I connect to karma, like to solve some sort of karma, right? Interesting. Trippy reading. Something to think about. And I do see Virgo's reading is helpful. You might want to connect to that. Look at that in your chart. I don't know. There's something about it. Okay. Wow, Aries. That was an interesting reading. It doesn't feel overly stressful. But once you get in there, it might be a little bit emotional, so just prepare yourself for it. And I think this is, again, why Taurus is, so they say, in Mars is in Taurus, your ruling energy is so that you can slow down in the space and really feel into your body, because you're usually just shooting forward, right? You're the fire of the cardinal. You're like constantly just going. And what you need to do is like settle something by being still. Okay? You'll be able to see something but the seeing is really feeling. But I guess you have to figure it out mentally first before you can tap in there. So anyway, thank you for being here, Aries. Thank you for being a part of this space. Any of you who are still here, I do appreciate you so much. Do you want to see an adorable flower before you go? Hold on. Can you see this? Let's put it against the black. Oh, shucks. Come on. Oh, just a minute. Oh, it's not doing it. Come on. Don't be a jerky. There. Can you see that? The 4 little petals. Whoopsie. So this is called Speedwell. Here's the flower, or the leaves. Oops. They have 12, I think it's called carnated. There's the leaf. The little indents. So these are great, especially if you live in Europe. I believe they come from England. They grow in the States, they grow in New Zealand, Australia. They grow along the ground. All the parts are edible. They're really good for allergies. It's ruled by Venus. It's really soft and light, and obviously these little tiny flowers. It's good. You can drink it as a tea, like dry this out, use it as a tea. It's good for fevers. It's good for colds. It's good for depression, a little bit of melancholia. You know, who's going to be upset when they see the little tiny flower? But yeah, I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you also anyone who's gone over to Patreon as well. That garden special, this garden, that space. It's all such a wonderful growing. There's so many wonderful people. I'm so appreciative. Thank you, Aries, for the lessons you have taught me great faith. You give kind of hard lessons like Sagittarius, but Probably because you're fire. But they're appreciated. Please take care of yourself. And I will talk to you next time.